What's up, everybody? Arrg the Pirate here, and today I want to give my first impressions of Wraith. So far, I have played 3 games with Wraith. 2 of them have been both in mid lane, and 1 as a support. Now, the gameplay I'm showing is support. I've had just terrible luck with matchmaking today. The first game, we were 11-0 at like the 9-minute mark. Our second game, where I was playing support, my carry and my offlaner both had more than 12 deaths at the end of the game with less than 3 kills. And the last game I played, we ended up having a Morgesh that was upset she didn't get to play Wraith and just sabotage the team and fed and things like that. We ended up trying to stick it out for a while, and then our ADC just went back to base and he said, I'm done. So I've had just 3 really awful games, and I'm just going to kind of give my thoughts on how he is so far. Now, Wraith is more of a mid laner, I would say. I did see some success with someone playing him off lane in the game that we were 10-0 at 9 minutes or whatever it was. But that was a bunch of solo players against a 5-stack, and they had constant rotations. And every time there was a rotation, it was 3 men. You know, the jungler and the mid laner would head over there. And we just were not working well as a team since we were all solo. He was successful there, though. He did end up going 10-0 at the end of the match. But like I said, we were not playing well as a team, and they were playing excellent as a team. Now, the game that I did play with the best success was support. Wraith is a terrible support hero. He's got a kit that would make me think, hey, he might be a great support. You have that invisibility that you can spread to your team. You have this little drone that scouts areas. It's not exactly like a ward. It works a little bit different, but it's not good enough to call a support. I would say it's much better using it as, say, a mid laner. You can have a ward on one side and your drone on the other side, or just not even pick up a ward real early in the game. You can pick up some kind of other utility card. Now, the reason I would say Wraith is great for a team is I think if you have very good team communication, that, you know, his rewind, hey, you could grab the ADC, or, you know, maybe their jungler when they're running away or get phase pulled or something like that, and boom, you can bring him right back into the middle of all your teammates. Or, like, someone gets out and you're able to get a gank on him when he's running away. You can say, hey, Crunch, I'm going to rewind him. Don't push up that far, because I have noticed when playing solo, I will rewind a hero and my teammates will be in the position that he's in and not in the position that he's going to be, because there's really not a whole lot of, hey, this guy's getting rewind flash or anything like that. If you pay attention, you can see it, but when you're in the heat of battle and throwing abilities around like crazy, you're not seeing that, hey, he's getting rewound, especially since he is such a new hero. His knock-knock ability also allows him to really farm well. I think that's why I saw like good progression on that off lane, because he's able to reach out there, get those last hits, and that really keeps, you know, a big, huge wave from coming to that tower, so he can hold on to that off lane tower. Now, he doesn't have just the greatest wave clear, but once you hit around 8 or 9, you can basic attack and then use your knock-knock and just start erasing enemies or minions just as fast as almost a carry can, like someone like Murdoch or Sparrow, where they're one-shotting. It's not quite as fast as that, but you do have that ability. Much better than someone like Gideon, who drops their rock and then they still have to 2 or 3 shot a whole bunch of enemies. I can see him doing well in mid lane. I think off lane is also kind of an option, but in that safe lane as support, he just does not have enough Now, I ran his build similar to someone that I would play like Muriel. Have Arrg The Pirate, the Quenching Scales, full support basically. And he does fairly decent at getting those last hits and things like that when you can kind of break up from your team. But at the same time, as a support, that's really not what you want to do. You shouldn't be out there pushing lanes. You know, his knock ability was still hitting for, I want to say, close to 400 at that level 10 or 12, which is really good for a support, but he just does not have enough utility to make him a good support. Also, he's very easy to be ganked. You know, he does not have a whole lot of health unless you're stacking health and armor. At the same time, I was going against a Bellica and a Chimera, which is probably one of the worst combinations to go up against as a Wraith. Chimera would jump on me, and now I've got the option to rewind Bellica to get her away or rewind Chimera. Now if I rewind Chimera, she can stun me, and by the time he gets out of his rewind, I'm probably not going to move very far and he'll be able to ambush me again. And it's kind of the same for Bellica. You know, I can rewind her, but I'm going to have Chimera hitting me the whole time. So the rewind, I would say, is more of an offensive tool and less of a defensive tool. If you are solo, I did notice, hey, if you don't want to get into this engagement, just rewind them right away. I was at one point going against a Countess, and as soon as I would see her run up, just hit her with the rewind. That way I get her away from me and I'm able to run away. Now I would also recommend putting on some sort of blink charm. You know, a Teleblink is great for him because he does not have an escape. And he really doesn't have any kind of stun or anything other than that rewind, and it's on a fairly long cooldown. Now I did try to run a Chronomancer's Disc on him just to see what it would do, and I would have to say, since two of his abilities are fairly short cooldowns already, and his ultimate is probably that mid-length, you know, it's not quite as long as someone like Decker or Muriel, but it's not as short as, you know, like the other mid laners. I would say running that Chronomancer Disc is not really worth it because you're only getting the benefit out of the ultimate. You know, his rewind is great, but you're really, even with that Chronomancer Disc, you're not going to be using it more than once during a team fight, unless you're doing a really long chase, and then you might be able to, but it does have a fairly short range, so unless you're actually right on top of the person, you're not going to be able to rewind. All in all, I think Wraith is one of the most balanced characters we've had in a very long time. But where other heroes promote, you know, single-person plays and you're able to really kind of play on your own, Wraith is almost the exact opposite. I feel that, hey, you really need to be in a team that not only works well together, that is communicating with one another. I did go invisible with my team one time, and as soon as I did, my team went in really before the invisibility took place, so no one really stayed invisible at all. We could have really repositioned and got a successful gank, but since there was no communication, hey, we're all about to go invisible, and they probably saw that kind of frame around their screen, didn't really know or understand what was going on, we ended up just wasting my ultimate almost. I think playing with Wraith is going to have a higher learning curve than some of the other heroes. Not so much that, hey, you need to play him a lot to be good at him, but you need to play him a lot with your team to kind of understand, you know, what exactly he can do. It is the first day he's out, so, you know, it's going to, of course, take a little time to get used to him. But unlike Revenant, where, hey, you picked him up, you kind of knew what you were supposed to do, or Morgesh, same kind of way, I think Wraith is going to take a lot longer to understand exactly how to use him. And for the solo heroes out there, I think Wraith is not going to be the hero that they want to go to. Wraith is a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend getting in a group of at least 3 players just to really get a feel for him. It is the first week, and the first week's always hard because, you know, there's drops and things like that, and a lot of the newer players or players that have quit and came back just for that new hero are playing, and so it's really hard to get, you know, that pick on Wraith as well as getting in a group that's going to play well together. But if you have some friends on and you can all team up, definitely try Wraith out. He is a lot of fun. He's one of the funnest heroes I've played just because he's so different, but at the same time, you need to know, hey, he's not a solo hero. I'm sure, you know, there are some heroes out there or some players out there that will do great as him playing solo, but in a team match, he strives a lot more than when he's playing solo and there's zero communication. Well, that's going to wrap it up for my first look at Wraith. I really enjoyed playing him, and I'm really looking forward to getting to a 5-stack and really trying to see what I can do. I would highly recommend not running him as support. He just, even with me as mostly a main support, he's just not syncing up well with the support. He does much better having damage and, you know, staying in that mid lane or maybe even off lane. Well, as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show me some love, think about subscribing, and if you'd like to see anything, let me know and I'll be sure to get back with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next video.